got to her daughter's office in Carrollton, Texas, she knew it was bad.
I pull up, police, fire trucks, ambulance, everywhere.
Who are you?
I'm Detective Harding.
I remember asking that officer, I said, "She didn't make it, did she?" And he said, "No, she didn't."
24-year-old Alyssa Burkett had just parked when a man with a gun approached. Sergeant Michael Harding.
She had the window up, and he shot right through the window.
The shot.
On an ordinary morning in Texas, a routine commute ended before it truly began. A parking lot, a vehicle, a brief window of time where decisions, made long before that day, finally converged. At first glance, the scene appeared isolated, almost random, but investigators would soon realize that nothing about this case was accidental. Every movement, every delay, every message left behind would point to something far more deliberate. What unfolded next wasn't just a homicide investigation, it was a slow excavation of months of planning, digital traces, and unseen surveillance. The truth didn't arrive all at once. It emerged in fragments, a timeline that didn't fit, data that refused to stay silent, and connections that transformed suspicion into certainty. This is the story of how a life was taken and how the darkness behind it was revealed step by step. Before we dive in, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed true crime stories like this, be sure to like the video, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share it with someone who'd love it too. This case is not defined by a single moment of violence, but by a sequence of actions that unfolded over time. From the earliest stages, investigators would come to understand that the crime was not spontaneous. It was structured, deliberate, and shaped by escalation. What initially appeared to be a sudden act would later be revealed as the endpoint of months of planning, monitoring, and preparation. The truth did not surface immediately. It emerged gradually through data, cell phone records, digital communications, surveillance.
She gets out of her car, and she walks up to this landing to try to get help.
The shooter chased her and stabbed her, then fled. She died shortly after.
Oh my God!
Teresa told detectives that Alyssa was in the throes of a bitter custody battle with the father of her 1 year.
According to court records, the relationship deteriorated over time and ultimately ended in separation. After the breakup, interactions became increasingly transactional and legal in nature. Custody arrangements were established through the court system. Communication shifted from personal discussions to structured exchanges centered on parenting schedules and obligations. Warning signs emerged during this period. Disputes became frequent. Messages reflected increasing hostility. Control issues surfaced through disagreements about parenting decisions and authority. Court filings indicated ongoing conflict related to custody and compliance. As legal proceedings progressed, the relationship transitioned from interpersonal conflict to adversarial positioning. Each interaction was increasingly documented, formalized, and contested. This shift would later prove significant in understanding motive and escalation. During this period, Holly Elkins entered the narrative. She was romantically involved with Andrew Beard and became an active participant in discussions about Alyssa. Investigators later uncovered a pattern of private communications between Beard and Elkins. These included text messages, online searches, and coordinated discussions that reflected a shared grievance. Rather than de-escalation, the communications reinforced mutual resentment. Surveillance behaviors began to emerge. Evidence later revealed that Alyssa's movements were monitored. A tracking device was placed on her vehicle, allowing her routines to be mapped over time. Her work schedule, commute, and arrival times became predictable. There were also documented attempts to discredit Alyssa. These efforts included allegations raised in legal contexts and discussions aimed at undermining her credibility. None of these attempts achieved the desired outcome, but they contributed to further escalation. Unintentionally, the same digital tools used to monitor Alyssa created a detailed footprint. Search histories, message logs, and location data would later become central to the investigation. The murder occurred on October 2, 2020, at the apartment complex where Alyssa worked, in Carrollton, Texas. That morning followed her usual routine. She arrived at work during early hours, consistent with her schedule. The parking lot was quiet. There were no immediate witnesses present at the moment of initial contact. According to investigative reconstruction, a key discovery involved GPS tracking. Investigators uncovered evidence that a tracking device had been placed on Alyssa's vehicle weeks prior to her death. This device recorded her movements, revealing predictable routines tied to work schedules, childcare exchanges, and daily errands. Data showed that these movements had been accessed repeatedly, indicating ongoing surveillance. Online search histories further expanded the picture. Searches related to Alyssa's workplace, schedules, and legal matters were recovered. Deleted messages were reconstructed through forensic extraction tools, revealing conversations that aligned with planning and coordination. Although some messages had been removed, metadata preserved timing, frequency, and intent. When these digital elements were layered together, they exposed inconsistencies in alibis. Statements that relied on coincidence or distance collapsed under the weight of time-stamped data. Communication patterns revealed coordination rather than independent action. The evidence demonstrated not only presence, but preparation. Given the interstate nature of the digital communications and the use of electronic surveillance, the case fell under federal jurisdiction rather than being handled solely at the state level. This allowed prosecutors to pursue charges related to stalking, conspiracy, and the use of electronic devices to facilitate violent crime. Andrew Beard was arrested first. Evidence linked him directly to the planning stages and execution of the crime. Federal charges included cyberstalking, interstate stalking resulting in death, and weapons-related offenses. The legal strategy focused on establishing intent through digital records rather than relying solely on eyewitness testimony. Holly Elkins was arrested separately. Prosecutors alleged that she played an active role in planning, coordination, and surveillance. Charges against her included conspiracy to stalk, aiding and abetting, and firearm-related offenses tied to the fatal outcome. During pretrial proceedings, cooperation became a pivotal issue. Beard ultimately entered a plea agreement, admitting to key aspects of the crime while accepting responsibility for his role. His cooperation provided prosecutors with confirmation of planning details already suggested by digital evidence. Elkins, however, denied direct involvement in the act of violence and maintained that her actions did not rise to criminal responsibility. This distinction would become central during trial. At trial, the prosecution relied heavily on digital evidence rather than circumstantial narrative. Jurors were presented with timelines built from phone records, GPS data, and surveillance footage. These timelines demonstrated how movements, communications, and actions aligned across multiple devices. Testimony from digital forensic experts explained how deleted data was recovered and authenticated. Analysts walked jurors through how location data